Noon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Dojo Live. I'm Tulio Sergusa, broadcasting from Southern California. Today is Thursday, January 6th, 2022. Joining me today is Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico, and our guest, Prashant Nair, who's the CEO and product architect at Double Gemini. Welcome to the show. Good to have you with us, Prashant.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a nice way to kick off the new year, talking about email, talking about productivity. Who doesn't want to start out that way?
Yeah, and we're
It's
already a week into it.
I know, exactly. So a lot of people get concerned and make all kinds of New Year resolutions about being more productive. So let's see what we can learn today about maybe effective ways to be more productive. So that's what we're going to discuss today. But before we go into the topic and dive in, let's get to know our guest. Prashant, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're broadcasting from New York. So welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk about Double Gemini as well.
Sounds good. I'm Prashant Nair. Got the plane in the background because I wish I was, pretty much anywhere in the world right now. But here I am in Soho in New York City. I live in New York City with my family. I've got 4 kids. Um, uh, I tell people that, so one of my biggest hobbies on the side is doing triathlons. I love endurance sports. I love playing music. A long time ago, I played in a band way back in college, some electronic music. I think that, that's a little bit on the personal side. What makes me tick is solving complex problems and making them simple and effective so that other people can move forward. I get a ton of joy about that, with that. And, that's why I'm here to talk about some of that stuff and what we're doing at Double Gemini.
Wonderful. Well, it's good to have you. So I thought maybe you were on a tarmac. You never know. We did have once someone who was in their car, video broadcasting from their car in a moving car. He wasn't driving though, but it's good to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about Double Gemini. We're curious about the name and what the company does and what the product is that you're offering. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Sure. So, my background was that I was got a logistics degree in Michigan State. I worked in automotive logistics back before the turn of the century. And then right around 2000, decided that I wanted to come to New York City. When I came, the logistics company I was working with, Coghlan Logistics, wanted to keep me on board. So they asked me to form a company. I kind of was searching for a name. My mom wanted me to pick something that was astrological in nature. So I was born on June 11th. So I thought the 2 ones, Gemini, and I'm a Gemini. Let's go for it. Long story short, I found out much later that according to the Indian astrological calendars, which take into account the shift of the Earth with respect to the stars, that I am actually not a Gemini. But luckily, my first 2 daughters are. And my third daughter was born on November 22nd. So that's 2 2s, Double Gemini. And my son was born on March 24th. So 2 squared is 4. So I'm kind of going with it astrologically, numerically with everyone else. So that's
Double Gemini.
Cool. Well, that's a cool name anyway. So it's good that it all aligns. So let's go right into the topic today. And this is an interesting conversation, interesting topic, because dare I say a lot of people struggle with this. A lot of people. And let's go right into it. I feel like I'm teasing everyone watching. Kim, if you could please introduce the topic and what we're going to be answering today. And let's kick off the conversation.
Of course. Thank you, Tulio. Thank you, Prashant. Today, the topic as chosen by you, Prashant, is ending email overwhelm. So one of those not so complicated problems, right? It doesn't seem like it should be complicated, but it complicates life for most of us. So we're going to be taking a look at why email is making us less productive and what it is that we can do about it. So the product, it's my understanding at Double Gemini, is called the Stack Method, which is something you yourself developed, correct? What is the Stack Method and what was your approach to creating this?
Good question. All right. So So, as I mentioned, I started Double Gemini in 2000. When I came to New York, I started out as a project management firm. And you can kind of picture when you're managing projects, and New York is one of those small, big places, just kind of like every other big city, that you can quickly get flooded by emails. So, next thing you knew, I was handling larger and larger projects and programs. I was getting 350, 400 emails a day. And it was very difficult to stay on top of my email. So I started looking at techniques that were out there. I looked at getting things done. I looked at sorting by organizing by urgency, inbox zero, a couple other techniques. And I tried them all and nothing really seemed to work. So I decided that I kind of needed to figure out my own way of putting something together. And I started in 2004, but I didn't really have a breakthrough until 2012. And the breakthrough was I realized that emails aren't messages. So everyone's looking at email and they're thinking email, 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 but they're really not. They're reply, do, schedule, forward, meet, delegate, print, whatever. And once you kind of get that perspective, then you can figure out how to batch and organize your emails by type of action and then work through your emails a lot faster. So kind of the background to why I started pursuing this was just because of my own overwhelm and my role as a project manager. And that's where it led me now. That was 2012. Then it took me a number of years to figure out how to effectively teach people the technique. And which, as you mentioned, I call the stack method. And I guess that brings us to, maybe a year ago where I saw how overwhelmed people were with email, especially given COVID. I think Microsoft, they did a study. They found out that from February 2020 to February 2021, there was 40 billion more emails sent. 40 billion. It was like the single largest jump that they'd ever seen year over year. Usually they see this like little curve going up and it just like went up like that because of work from home. All these conversations that people were having in person went suddenly online.
Right.
And, Kim, you mentioned too that people are overwhelmed. And that's a really interesting topic that we should dive into in terms of why. But, you might have another question or two.
Overwhelmed in every sense of the word. In my case, almost 2 straight years of working from home and compiled with a lot of people with children who are also, studying from home and everything. So let's dive into the overwhelm.
I'm curious to find out, first of all, what tools can we have? What's the better way to handle the email overflowing amount of messages? I mean, some people never delete one, so they've got thousands of emails in their inbox. That's probably not healthy, So, maybe deconstruct this for us. Break it down. Like what became this a mission to want to help people with this, what this particular issue, and what can they do about it?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your story around this.
So, it's kind of, I've learned a lot. A lot of this started out personally, but then, there's a good portion of it that came from just seeing that people weren't able to function at their best because they were just literally buried by email. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized what a huge problem this is. So we're talking about overwhelm. So why does email cause overwhelm? Well, there's the volume of email, right? Getting 150 emails a day. How do we stay on top of it? There's overwhelm because people feel like emails can slip through the cracks. There's the content of the message. There's overwhelm or anxiety because you just don't feel like you've got it organized because you're always staring at a cluttered inbox. Because there's the fear of missing out on emails. Email is actually addictive. Any type of social media, for any type of new information, humans get a little boost of dopamine, knowing that they're going to get that information. So any type of new information, whether it's useful or not, creates this boost of dopamine. So email is addictive because we see those messages and we're like, oh, I've got to know what that information is. And biologically, maybe thousands of years ago, that was super important. A little less so today. There's the fear of not being responsive. Now that we're working from home, if I'm not on that email all the time, are people going to think I'm working? So when you just put all of this together, it creates a situation where people have this like almost like it's like a low temperature, low grade fever all the time, and most people don't even realize it. And so when you solve that, a lot of times there's people almost have like a spiritual response to it because you're solving so many problems, at the same time. People have come up to me and been like, I didn't realize this was such a huge problem. I've never had a more productive morning after they put the stack method in place. This is an issue I've had for 20 years. I never thought I was going to get past it. I just declared email bankruptcy and decided that this is the way that I have to live. And, one of the things that I figured out is this. So we have a certain amount of like mental bandwidth that we can devote to a particular subject or something that we're thinking about, right? And and now if we have these background thoughts, like little anxieties, things that we feel like are slipping through the cracks, they're going to occupy our consciousness. And basically what they're going to do is they'll limit that available bandwidth that you have to focus on the thing at hand, right? Because you're constantly worried, oh, did I miss an email? Is a new email coming in? Did I forget about this task? I did not respond to this person. And so when you solve that, it basically creates all of this mental bandwidth, unlocks people's creativity and ability to really kind of get in the flow and be productive. And so, Tulium, Kim, that's kind of the rationale why, or where the overwhelm comes from. Now, in terms of what can you do about it? You can follow a process that addresses it, and it's a really simple process. And the entire process is available for free, and we don't ask for your email. There's no paywall. You just go to stackmethod.com, and we published it in June of 2020, just because we heard so many people that were overwhelmed by email, and we'd only been teaching it to corporate clients, and we thought like this was kind of a good way to give back. So the process is like this. You take your emails, which out of your inbox, and you put them into action folders. The action folders are based on the type of actions that you have, and those actions should be customized to your job. So if you're somebody that needs to approve things, then you should have an approve folder or a delegate folder, a do folder, a meet folder, schedule folder, whatever those folders are based on your types of actions. And you can learn more about how to structure and think about those actions. Then what you do is open the first folder, deal with those actions, move on to the second folder, third folder, fourth folder, and so on. Now, you might not get to some of those actions on a given day. That's okay. They'll stay there, but you'll know already when you get to one of those folders what the actions are that those emails entail. Anyways, when you get through your inbox in those action folders, then you're just basically going to have closure on your email, which is something that most people never experience. And then you rinse and repeat just once a day, once every 2-3 days, and it really makes a world of difference. A little bit more to that in terms of tips and techniques and shortcut keys and other things, but you don't need software for it. You can do it with any mailbox, Outlook, Gmail, PC, Mac. It really doesn't matter. There are some things that you can do to set up shortcuts and use shortcut keys and other things that'll make you far more efficient that I'd recommend checking out. That's the gist of it.
It's interesting. I started visualizing my very first job. I was a clerk in an insurance company. I was like in high school still, basically.
Mhm.
And all these files would come in that needed to be put away. And so I devised this system that had different inboxes for different types of files so that I would know where things needed to go. It was like all these stacked little different folders, and I had to teach people where to put stuff. Like, don't just put it on the desk, put them in these folders, right? So that was my first sort of lesson in like organizing yourself so you can do proper follow-ups and things don't get lost or just pile up. Is this similar concept what you're talking about? You're essentially creating like an inbox. Your inbox become the entry point, and then you put things in the to-dos or whatever necessary that makes sense. And what does the site, the stack method, do? Is teach the system? How does that help people set this up?
Yeah. So let me answer both of those questions. So first of all, let's think about this with two different concepts here. Like one is your mail. You get your mail. Do you just kind of go through it sequentially? No, you sort your mail. Oh, these are my bills. These are magazines. This is something else. And like, that's like really efficient.
Junk, trash.
Junk, trash, whatever, right?
Mhm.
And then you go through it. That makes it just far more efficient because then you're dealing with your bills. You're looking through your magazines. You're throwing away your trash, whatever it is, right? So, so I think it's pretty important to think in that way. The other thing is that like when you're going through your mail and you're dealing with just your bills or just your magazines or newsletters or whatever it is, right? You're batch processing. Now, the way most people deal with their inbox is they leave everything in their inbox, which is no sorting mechanism. And then they're not batch processing. They're not dealing with specific types of actions, which is really inefficient. I mean, think about this. Would you wash a sock and then wash a spoon and then a t-shirt and then a mug and then wash a mug? No, like you do laundry, dishes in batches because it's far more efficient. So, so that's the kind of first piece. So it makes complete sense, Tulia, what you were just saying, in terms of your first job and how to think about it. It's just a simple strategy for organizing the information so that you can work through it much faster. Now, so what does the Stack Method site have on it? So it has the 9 basic videos that teach you the entire Stack Method. It's about an hour worth of content. You can watch it over a lunch break. It's pretty easy. We've had a couple people or even teams that have watched it with watch parties, like our friends at AMC Networks. They had one particular group there had a watch party where they had a lunch and learn, and watch it together. So that's that for the video. So that's step 1, is to learn the method, and that's on the site. And all these pieces are on the site. The second step is to set up your mailbox. So set up your action folders and shortcut keys and enable certain things to allow you to move a lot faster. My colleague, Anya Singleton, we just recently published a really comprehensive set of videos for the setup for Gmail, for Outlook on the PC, and Outlook on the Mac. So there's over 30 videos there, again, all for free, on how to do the specific setup. They're maybe 2-minute videos each. So they'll walk you through the setup. And then the third step is to actually start practicing. And we show you exactly what that process looks like and give you shortcut key guides for Outlook and Gmail and so on, so that you can practice and put it to play. And so all that's there. Now, the site also has an option to take a paid class. There's some people that just kind of prefer that as a medium to learn from a live instructor. So that's also there if you want. So that's what's on the site.
All right.
Nice. So we're going to Marie Kondo our inboxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't know if I would say as much or if I could put myself on that same level as Marie. I don't know if we can find joy in our email, but we can find joy being done with our email, and a lot of joy there.
Okay, so the topic was, why is email making us less productive and what we can do about it? So the hypothesis is that any other method is slow, it's inefficient. What's the thought process with this? I mean, is there some kind of a metric you guys have learned over the past, it's almost 2 years now, of people who are applying this in terms of being more productive? What does that improvement look like?
Yeah, so that number is pretty astonishing. So when we teach this to corporate clients, we do all 3 steps. So we teach them the class, then we do a setup session, and then we do practice sessions that we call workouts. And so email workouts, they're kind of like working out at the gym, except you might get a little
Just
sweatier.
the delete button, basically.
Yeah. So when most people even start stacking with us in their first session, it might take them 55 minutes to stack, on average close to an hour. By the time they get to their third workout, they're usually stacking in about 25 minutes. So they're getting through their email more than twice as fast there. But not only that, it's not interrupting them all day, right? Because they're dealing with it in a batch. So think about it this way. so Tom DeMarco in the 1970s came out with this book, Peopleware, and he discovered that the average person, whenever they're working on anything that requires concentration, they need about 15 minutes of warm-up time. And you've experienced that, right? You're writing a report, doing an analysis, putting together a presentation, whatever it is. And regardless of what profession, you could be a student and you're studying for something, you're like trying to wrap your head around it. Then you start cranking. And what he found is that you need at least 10 minutes of continuous uninterrupted focus to make progress on it. So you're not working for 25 minutes, forget about it. You're just basically cycling over and over with the same thing. So what happens to most people is they're working through their email intermittently and over the course of the day, and they're taking all these notifications. So they start warming up, bing, notification. Oh, I got to warm up again. Just finished warming up, just started working, bing, notification, got to get back to it. And then they're going through the cycle. We've had people that have gone from 60-hour weeks to 40-hour weeks just because they're dealing with their email in batches. They get it solved and they're not interrupted by it over the course of the day. Now, the astonishing thing is, and this is kind of a surprising thing, so we ask people to self-survey how much time that they will have saved over the course of a week, and then we extrapolate it over the course of a year based on mastering the stack method. And most people report they get back anywhere from a month to a month and a half of time. Our latest client on this, the client we worked with just this last fall, Merck Pharmaceuticals, the average person reported 1.6 months of productivity in productivity gains a year. So the numbers are astonishing. Wow. And that's from they go from 500-600 hours of working on email to 150, 200 a year. So you're or 250, you're basically saving 250 hours over the course of a year. And so it's just astonishing from that perspective, but it also affects your stress and well-being, work-life balance. You just don't feel like you've got to be on email 24/7 to be plugged. We worked with this lady, Erica, at Gap recently, and her comment afterwards was that email has lost its hold on me. It's lost its grip on me. And I thought that was just like a really nice way to say it. This was somebody who before using the stack found that 70% of her time was on email. Wow. And now it's less than 5% of her time. And she's able to really focus on strategically doing her particular job. So, that's a little bit about the metrics and the impact there.
Wow. Yeah.
Curious
and I
about,
think,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and I think you can kind of really, I imagine making this really effective then if you layer on top of it other theories, perhaps like the Eisenhower method. Like I have these folders and I'm immediately able to, via the stack method, to identify what's urgent, what I need to schedule for later, what I can delegate to someone else, what I don't even need to care about at all. And then once you dive into that, you're automatically more efficient, right? Like I take this back to, it makes me think of a process that I have for myself when I'm doing any kind of sales efforts, right? Usually I have my 3 types of tasks, like whether that's sending emails or doing phone calling or other type of random kind of to-dos like LinkedIn requests or something. And then once, let's say if I'm in like a calling method, I get to, I'm going to group all of these calls, all of these people in the same sequence together. And then in a flow, I'm in a groove, that 10 minutes, right? Where these voicemails are really similar and I get like a well-oiled machine and I know exactly what is coming for the next 15 minutes. And that's great. I think it's a simple way to help solve something that used to be complex. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, I encourage people to check it out. Stackmethod.com. So it's free, but you guys are running a business. So is this just a lead gen effort? Hopefully those folks coming on there are also corporate potential clients. In other words, how do you guys make money? I've heard you talk about helping corporate clients. How does that work and how do people engage with you?
Yeah. So I guess, 2 things. One is that when we released it, the idea was just to help people and we really didn't know how it was going to turn out. My gut at the time said that to me that the people that couldn't afford it, like students and teachers, like this has gone out to tens of thousands of students and teachers. People that couldn't afford it could benefit from it. And that was going to be a much better use than just hoarding it for just corporate customers. So I thought like it's going to benefit humanity in that way in the least. And then small companies and people that couldn't afford our regular training could utilize it. So I thought there's a win right there no matter what. But I figured that corporate clients would contact us anyway and still want to have us teach the class to their their people, because it's so much more effective when you're teaching somebody live. There's a primacy in it, and we were pretty right about that. The other thing which has been interesting is people have come to that site and then gone to our main website, which is doublegemini.com, and they've seen our other services, and it's turned out to be this kind of amazing lead generation tool for us. We've stopped doing outbound sales, and now any type of sales outreach, people are contacting us for so many of our other services. We're really not a one-trick pony, so it's not just about receiving inbound messages, but we solve meetings. We help companies optimize how they run and organize meetings. We help people with time and task management. We help people with the art of writing emails. That's another phenomenal workshop that is pretty interesting. For your customers, we can give them a coupon for 20% off of that workshop. It's also live at pulsemethod.com. We help people optimize how they organize their file systems. It's a whole nother can of worms. Is like most companies or people are looking at their file systems and they don't know which way is up. So it's ended up turning out to be a really great benefit for the community, and then also for us. I think at this point, over 60,000 people just in the last year have gone to the site, maybe 100,000 in the last year and a half. And I think the stack itself has become one of the preeminent email techniques. And then Julia, like you said, it's led to a lot of opportunities for us to help people in other ways.
Nice. Very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, definitely. We're coming to sadly, the very final minutes of our show today and talking about the company Double Gemini. For any of our viewers who might be interested in working on a project similar to yours, what's your company culture like, and what are the type of people that you like to work with?
That's a really great question. So, so we're a productivity company, and so we're pretty particular about processes. And the people that tend to thrive in our environment are very detail oriented. We have a really high focus on quality. We are also very independent. So people are self-starters. People on our team like to take projects and run with them and do high quality jobs and deliver them on their own. We have a very, I would say, we're almost like OCD or detail oriented about the work that we do, but we have a very relaxed, fun environment that's pretty easygoing. I don't think that people operate at their best when they're stressed. Unless it's a client deadline, we don't have like really set deadlines. We focus on quality as our indicator, and we make sure people have plenty of room and space and capacity to deliver great work. So so that's a little bit about the company culture. I think that I do a certain amount to set that company culture, but I think that the people that we've got on our team have amplified it to such an extent that it's kind of taken a life of its own without me, which has been really cool to see, especially in this last year.
That's the goal, right? Work ourselves as leaders to work ourselves out of a job, essentially.
Yeah, I'm getting closer. My title is CEO and product architect, and I really want to focus a lot more of my time on the product architect side, because I really enjoy creating these kind of techniques and bringing them to kind of the world at large. And for those of you guys that are interested in Double Gemini, we also have a newsletter. Go to doublegemini.com. It's called Productivity for All. Make sure to sign up for that and stay in touch too. We also are coming out with software at the end of this year. So you'll want to sign up for the newsletter so you see what that is going to be like. It's time and task management software. I'm really over the moon about the design. I just can't wait to bring this to people.
Very cool.
Well, congratulations. The timing couldn't be better. I think a lot of people struggle to be more productive. You would think you're working from home, with everybody working from home, that would improve productivity. But there's so much more to balance that you didn't have to deal with before. And people are just overwhelmed and straight up burned out. I think that's partly what's got to do with a lot of this great resignation or major shift happening. People just need to change because they're burning out for many reasons. So learning how to be more productive and organized is probably more key than ever. Nice. So if you're watching, check it out, doublegemini.com. Great to have you, Prashant, as our guest today. Just stay with us as we go off the air in a second. We're done for the week. We will be back Monday at 12 o'clock Pacific for our recap show. We're going to recap 3 shows that we had this week, and we'll have more shows next week. We're actually booked every day but Friday all the way through March. So we've got a lot of shows coming up. Kim, do you have the list of what's coming up next week, or otherwise we'll just announce it on Monday?
I do. On Tuesday, we'll be speaking with James Layfield, CEO at ClearFind. You have too much software. Everyone in every company has way too much software. Why is it so hard to find it and confidently eliminate it? A little bit interesting, that one. And we'll also be talking to Gary York, founder and chairman at Help Lightning. That's on Wednesday. Remote visual assistants, democratizing access to expertise. And we do have the show on Thursday. I do not have the details on that one yet, but join us 12 o'clock Pacific on Dojo Live.
Be safe, everyone. See you soon.
Thanks. You for